Hi everyone, I'm Rajesh and you're watching your favorite YouTube channel Learning with Rajesh. Dear students, today we are going to start our lesson number 1 from history for 7th class. And you know that the name of lesson is Changes Through a Thousand Years. So first question will be in your mind that which thousand years we are going to study in lesson number 1 of history. So you know that we will learn about 700 to 1715 AD in Indian history. What were the major changes that occurred, and we will learn in this lesson step by step. So to begin the lesson with keywords. So with the help of keyword you can understand the lesson easily. Firstly, there is a word cartographer. Cartographer here means a person who makes maps, and it's also known as lexicographer. Lexicographer or cartographer is a person who makes maps. And the next major keyword of the lesson is archive. Archive is a place where documents are kept. And you know that in 6th class you learnt about the history in a lesson that historian found some sources and these were kept in the archives. And the next word is habitat. Habitat here means it refers to the environment and lifestyle of its residents. For example, we live in a specific area and we have a good environment and good lifestyle. It refers that we have a good habitat. I think you got this point easily now. The next point is patron. Patron here means a wealthy person. It's described in the lesson. So he was like artisan and like other carpenter and whatever the wealthy person was, he was known as patron. Next you learnt about manuscript. Manuscript was handwritten book or handwritten notes. Next you learned there were some changes in jati in the previous time, and you know that jati is known as caste. I hope you learned all 6 major keywords of the lesson. Now to begin with the changes in that 1000 year, the first changes we learned about changing in the meaning of words in the past time. For example, Hindustan word nowadays is known as India, but in the past there were many meaning of Hindustan according to the view of different persons. Firstly, you know that nowadays Hindustan is known as India, but in ancient time a writer named as Minhaj-i-Siraj used this word for land between Ganga and Yamuna. And a Mughal emperor Babur used it for geography and culture of India. And a poet named Amir Khosrow used Hind word for Hindustan. I think you got this point of how the changes in the meaning of Hindustan in the past. Next word is foreigner. You learned that foreigner nowadays is known as the person who is not the citizen of India. But in the past time, who was not a part of that society or culture was known as foreigner, and in Hindi it was known as ajnabi. And the next major point of the lesson is how the historian uses the sources. They learnt about the past with the help of sources. Before reading this point, I am going to revise the previous work. We learnt about major keywords in the lesson and how the meaning of word changes in the ancient time. We learnt about the meaning of Hindustan changed in the ancient time, and a meaning of foreigner also. Historian uses sources, and the best source example of source is manuscripts. Manuscripts were the best example of source to know the past. But there were many problems regarding the using of manuscripts while using by the historian. Historian faced many problems while using them. They could not understand the meaning and handwriting easily because it were written by they were written by various people, and they could not easily understand the writing of these people. So while writing these manuscripts on a new page, they have to guess while writing. They guess the writing of the another people, another writer, and that's why there were changes in manuscripts. There was change in manuscript at that time. So now some manuscripts were totally changed because one person changes and then another changed it and then another changed it, someone changed, and after some time it was totally changed. I hope you got this point easily. What were the major problem while historian using the manuscripts? The next major point is Ziauddin Barni. Ziauddin Barni was 13th century chronicler writer. He also wrote a manuscript and which was totally changed by the another writer. And I hope you got all the points of today. And next final point of the today's topic is change in technology. There was change in technology at that time. Use of Persian wheel in irrigation introduced in India. Agriculturist or peasant used Persian wheel for irrigation system. And they also used spinning wheel for weaving. And firearms were also used in combat. In war, the fighters were using firearms at that time because technology gave them these firearms. And new foods were also introduced in India in subcontinent. Subcontinent here means India and its neighboring country. It were new foods were introduced in India, and like potatoes, corn, chilies, tea and coffee were some crops and some foods it were introduced in subcontinent at that time. I hope you got all the points of today easily. If you are new on my YouTube channel, please subscribe the channel, like and share also. And thank you and have a good night.